Hi, I'm Ben and you're watching Batarang to the Butt, and this is part 2 of the complete timeline of Scarlet Witch and Vision. In the first part, I explained how Wanda and Vision got together, got married, had kids, split up, and then lost the kids. Well, this second part will bring you up to modern day, detailing the further adventures of these characters and some that are related to them. But before I do get into it, I wanted to add that the Scarlet Witch also received her own solo series back in 1994. Wanda's mentor Agatha Harkness and the soul-stealing Master Pandemonium feature, but I don't really need to go into too much detail about anything in it. However, I mentioned Vision's first solo series, so it's only fair. But anyway, we've reached 2005 and the House of M. In the aftermath of Wanda's major breakdown, the remaining Avengers and the X-Men get together to decide what to do with her. But before they can come to a conclusion, the world is changed. Turns out that Quicksilver, in an attempt to protect his sister, had convinced Wanda to make the world a better place. A world where they are at their father's side, where their family is complete, and where all of the heroes get their heart's desire. And for a while, this reality warp had worked. But several characters managed to regain their memories of the real world, and so they attempted to stop the House of M and fix reality. It's a cool story which poses a lot of moral and even philosophical dilemmas. The heroes' lives are better, however, can one truly be happy if you know that it's all just a facade? Spider-Man even gets it worst of all, but I don't want to go into that too much, you should read the comic. In issue 7, Magneto discovers what his son Quicksilver has done and murders him. But Wanda resurrects him, and enraged with her father, utters those infamous words, "No more mutants." And so, the world changes once again. In the final issue, everything is seemingly back to normal, until it is revealed that 90% of the mutant population have lost their mutant abilities, including Magneto and Quicksilver. This incident would take the mutant population about a decade to properly recover from, and so there were some serious consequences to this event. But anyway, the series ends with Wanda being revealed to be in Wandagore, where she was originally raised, living a secluded, normal life, having lost her memories and seemingly her abilities. Okay, so I'm going to have to bang on about the Young Avengers here for a bit, but I swear I'm going somewhere relevant with this, so please stick with me. When a 30th century teenager found out that he was destined to become the time-travelling villain known as Kang the Conqueror, he travels back in time to get help from the Avengers. However, thanks to Wanda's breakdown, the Avengers had disbanded during this time. So instead, he hacks into the decommissioned Vision's data files to find a list of potential next-generation Avengers. This is how Iron Lad became the founder of the Young Avengers. Issue 6 of this series introduced a brand new Vision, who is a combination of the original Vision's program files and the armour and mental engrams of Iron Lad. This new Vision was technologically superior to the original, and although he had all of the physical and emotional potential of the original, he lacked the first Vision's vast experience and maturity, making him a pretty good fit for the Young Avengers. In issue 10, a new character joins the team, Thomas Shepard, who also goes by Speed, and he looks suspiciously similar to Wiccan, the magic-wielding Young Avenger. In the following issue, it's revealed that Speed and Wiccan are the reincarnations of the Scarlet Witch's twin children. Remember that Thomas and William, who turned out to be shards of Mephisto's soul? Well, when those shards were returned to the demon, they had apparently been transfigured by Wanda's magic, so they ended up destroying Mephisto, which left the souls to be released once more back into the world. See, I told you this was going somewhere relevant. This connection also helps to explain Tommy and Billy's abilities. A warlock and a speedster? Twins? Now where have I heard that one before? Then in 2008, the new Vision takes on the name of Jonas in Young Avengers Presents issue 4. A couple of years later, and Jonas is briefly split using the power of the cosmic cube. The result is that the original Vision and Iron Lad are briefly returned, helping the Avengers in battle, until of course the cube's power is reversed at the end of the issue, meaning that the original Vision is once again dead. But during the storyline Chaos War Dead Avengers, Vision is once again briefly resurrected, alongside a handful of other dead Avengers. However, he sacrifices himself to help save the day in issue 3. Okay, guess what? The kids are back! Yes, that's right, it's time to once again talk about the Young Avengers. This is quite a long story, but it is very relevant to Pietro's twisted sister. At the beginning of Avengers, the Childrens Crusade, Wiccan's powers overload, leading to the Young Avengers deciding it's time to track down the Scarlet Witch once and for all. Magneto, Quicksilver, and the Avengers also take this opportunity to try locating her. It turns out that Wanda is in Latveria, still an amnesiac after House of M, but also now engaged to Doctor Doom. And oh my goodness, the wedding's in the morning. Wiccan is captured and depowered by Doom after he is caught trying to free Wanda. This ignites an all-out war with the Avengers, the Young Avengers, Quicksilver, and Magneto. And so Wanda's wedding day is straight up ruined. I suppose an assassination attempt from Wolverine will do that. The heroes still don't trust her, but Wiccan argues that Wanda no longer is the Scarlet Witch. After all, she has no memories and no powers. Until, of course, she does. A few issues later, Wanda regains her memories and her abilities. As you can imagine, it's a lot to take in, and she even tries to use her powers to commit suicide. Thankfully, she stops when Wiccan is able to explain to her that her father and brother are still alive, and that he and Speed are her children reincarnated. Still horrified by the sins of her past, Wanda vows to reverse the No More Mutants spell. However, before she can, both the Avengers and the X-Men show up and begin to argue over Wanda's fate. Wanda and the Young Avengers escape the heroes and return to Doom's castle, where Wanda teams up with Doom in an attempt to undo her No More Mutants spell. This is when Doom reveals that Wanda's breakdown was actually caused by an entity known as the Life Force, which had possessed Wanda shortly before the House of M, and continues to live inside her. Then, while she is trying to undo her spell, Doom channels this powerful life force into himself. Obviously, Wanda didn't handle the life force very well, but Doom thinks that he can do better, and he intends to use it to rule the world. Classic Doom, am I right? There is a climactic battle between an all-powerful Doom, the Avengers, and the X-Men, while Wiccan and Wanda work on recapturing the life force. They are successful, but Young Avengers Stature is killed in the battle. Iron Lad hadn't learnt his lesson about time travelling, and so he wants to use it to bring Stature back. Oh yeah, by the way, Iron Lad is back, so just read it if you want to know why and how. Anyway, Jonas stops him, but in a fit of anger, Iron Lad destroys Jonas, before once again disappearing into the time stream. In the end, the heroes accept that Wanda was not entirely responsible for her actions, and they conclude that there is no justice to be had by punishing her. But Cyclops and the X-Men leave her with a warning: spend the rest of her life making up for what she has done, or they'll be back to get her. Wanda refuses to go with the Avengers or with her family. Instead, she decides to go it alone for a while. Maybe even spend a bit of time with her old new kids. Or should that be new old kids? Either way, Wanda is well on her way to redemption. But what about Vision? Well, in the latter half of 2011, Tony Stark is finally able to rebuild Vision, and he immediately joins a fresh new team of Avengers. A few issues later, and he is told what happened to him, and what has happened to his wife since he's been gone. Stark explains that Wanda is pretty much off the radar, and no one really knows what to do about her. Then, later, while making up for lost time, Vision confronts and forgives She-Hulk for ripping him apart. He then confronts Magneto in an attempt to track down Wanda. But unfortunately for Vision, Magneto has no idea of Wanda's whereabouts. However, the long-awaited reunion finally happens in Avengers vs X-Men Issue 0, when Wanda is convinced to come by Avengers Mansion to say hello to everyone. You know, for old time's sake. Upon seeing her again, Vision angrily snaps at Wanda, blaming her for having manipulated him and killing him. Understandable, really. When he turns away, it's revealed that there are tears in his eyes. The end of that event sees Wanda team up with Hope Summers, the mutant messiah, to take down the final member of the Phoenix X-Men. Then they destroy the Phoenix Force, which triggers the return of the mutants' powers. This continues to put Wanda back in the hero's good books. From the aftermath of that event, an all-new and all-different branch of the Avengers arises, a team composed of members of both the Avengers and X-Men. Within the Marvel Universe, the team is known as the Avengers Unity Squad. Wanda continues her path to redemption by joining this team and working alongside mutants Rogue, Havoc and Wolverine, during a time when human-mutant tensions are particularly high. But this doesn't exactly mean that they are all friends. Then in 2013, Vision gets the spotlight in Avengers Assemble Annual Issue 1. This issue shows that he has continued to fight alongside another group of Avengers, and this particular mission proves that Vision is still struggling with the loss of his wife and children. The issue concludes with him leaving the Avengers to pretty much find himself. He's essentially taking a gap year. He also visits Wiccan for the first time, who you may remember as one of Wanda and Vision's reincarnated twin sons. A few years later, and our heroes are once again reunited when Vision and a team of Avengers rescue Wanda from the High Evolutionaries' counter-Earth. but don't worry about what that is. I guess time and distance has helped to heal the schism between them, because they are once again friends by the end of 2015's Uncanny Avengers. Then, later in the year, Vision visits Wanda to explain to her that he is having problems with his memories and the emotions that are linked to them. He tells her that he is purging his emotions, which once again makes him unemotional and robotic. Not long after, he joins an all-new, all-different team of Avengers. Yeah, if you haven't realised, the Avengers go through a ridiculous amount of lineups. It's pretty much constantly changing. Okay, we're almost up to date. There's just a few more stories to touch on.
We're in the endgame now.
If you've learnt anything, or if you're enjoying this video, then please leave a like. It really helps, and I really appreciate it. Now let's dive back in. In 2015, Vision gets another solo series, in which he creates himself a family. This series is pretty critically acclaimed, and quite possibly my favourite Vision story ever. The family is created using Wanda's brain patterns, much like how he was created using Wonder Man's. Oh, and they have a dog too. This series is a paranoia-inducing thriller, serving as a cautionary tale about why someone like Vision doesn't get to have a normal life. It's not your typical superhero comic. I can't recommend it enough, and so I don't want to spoil too much. But for the sake of this timeline, I will reveal that Vision still has feelings for Wanda, and that only he and his daughter Viv Vision are left by the end. Still, this is a great all-encompassing story that you can easily jump into without too much prior knowledge. Although, if you've made it this far in the video, then you've got plenty of prior knowledge, so just jump in there, check it out, give it a read. Meanwhile, Wanda also has another solo series. We find Wanda struggling to find her place after a whole bunch of recent revelations of her true past. Like how it turns out that Magneto isn't her or Quicksilver's real father, and that they aren't even mutants. Turns out that they were just experimented on as children. Anyway, Wanda finds herself working with the ghost of Agatha Harkness to investigate recent disruptions in magic. The series also features a tie-in to Civil War II and a bunch of gorgeous covers. This one's my favourite. As of 2019, in the first issue of Avengers No Road Home, Wanda is dating her Uncanny Avengers teammate Jericho Drumm, aka Brother Voodoo, a fellow magic wielder. This series also sees Wanda and Vision finally fight alongside each other again as teammates. This leads us to 2020, where both characters are alive and well, and are on good terms. They aren't back together or anything, but they do sit next to each other at their son's wedding. So that's nice. Look, there are a ridiculous amount of comics featuring Wanda and Vision, and so it would be almost impossible for me to touch on every issue. However, I hope that I've given you a pretty solid understanding of the characters. If you think I have, or if you enjoyed this video at all, I would really appreciate it if you left a like, and possibly even shared the video with your friends. I would love to know what some of your favourite Vision and Scarlet Witch comics are, so please leave those down in the comments below, and maybe we'll have a chat about it. Oh, and make sure you've liked the Facebook page for more geeky good stuff just like this.